What's poppin', y'all? Drake is catching some stealing allegations, and this isn't the first time. It's been it has been nearly 10 years, actually, shockingly enough. But I'll say 8 years or so since XXXTentacion accused him of taking the Look At Me cadence, flow on KMT off of, actually, it has been 10 years. That's More Life, right? When KMT came out. Wow. Now, another South Florida rapper that was likely inspired at least a bit by the movement that XXXTentacion had going on is 1900 Rugrat. And 1900 Rugrat comes out and accuses Drake of jacking his stuff in a story time on TikTok from his first album.
All right, so I got a story time because I just listened to Iceman and Drake. You got me up, bro. Not gonna lie, you got me up. So when I made the intro to my first album about a year and a half ago, Drake was hitting me up around the time and wanted to hear music, a Drake producer. So I sent 10 songs through and they was all finna be on my album because I didn't want nobody to steal my shit because I know how people move. So boom, the one they took a liking to was the intro. Now the intro still dropped. I said, no, you can't have this song. He wanted me on his album still. He said, I'm gonna send you a verse through. Never sent the verse. I didn't give a till I just went and listened to Iceman, and I listened to Little Birdie, and then I went back and listened to the intro of my first album. Twin. That's the only beat I've ever produced and sat there and produced. Don't rip my and repitch it like that, fam. That's fried. That's fried out.
So off rip, about a couple of different things and some context. This guy, 1900 Rugrat, he blew up. He really blew up off of One Take Freestyle. And he blew up from the clip getting surfaced around everywhere after he did his Gabe's On the Radar freestyle. Him, and then a couple of months later, like Georgiana, she blew up off of that too. So One Take Freestyle went crazy, but it's almost at 100 million streams too. But before that, 1900 Rugrat was grinding on TikTok, consistently doing freestyles daily. Like, this guy would just put the camera down. It's a very inspiring story. I did a video on my main channel about him and a couple of other acts. I think it was called something Why Every Rapper Needs a Gimmick or something like that. I'll actually be sure to link it this time, and that'll give you more context on him. The point is, this guy never needed anybody else, never tried to clout chase anybody else, never tried, even after he got on, and some people will say he quote unquote fell off. I don't think that's the case. I think he just settled into his fan base. You look at the streams on 2 of his tapes, right? Like his first album and his second album, he's getting in the hundreds of thousands of streams. No Songs is doing under 100,000. And he signed, he's got seems like a JV deal or something like that with 300. We never heard him complain about his deal. So he seems to be in a settled position and happy with where he's at. That's to put the context out there that this isn't some rapper, because everyone, once they hear this, especially if they're Drake stans and they're just going to run to defense, they're going to accuse a small artist like this. Number one, oh, he don't know you, lil bro, which is goofy. Drake knows everyone and everything that's happening in the game that's even remotely shaking anything up. So yeah, he knew who 1900 Rugrat was. And the second thing they'll do is say, oh, this person is clout chasing. Oh, they're trying to get their streams up. They're trying to get their career. Well, how is this guy clout chasing when we've never seen him clout chase off of anybody before? It would have to be a habit for us to be like, okay, this guy's done this in the past. For instance, this one girl that was trying to clout chase off of Ice Spice that makes music, and she was the one that was friends with her. I remember her name is escaping me off the top of my head, but she had that whole stunt in Target where she had 25 different people and was saying, oh, Target was kicking me out because I filmed a music video there, they're racist. So that is an example of somebody that's constantly trying to drum up this attention. 1900 Rugrat is not that. So there are 2 things that we got out the way. So of course, a bunch of people are coming after him for this. And keep in mind, we've seen behavior like this from not just Drake, because he's not the only one that's guilty of this, from other people in the industry. So he drops a DM after this, and he drops a DM exchange and says, I know the tape about to go effing nuts. Keep in mind, 1900 Rugrat had not dropped the tape yet. Porch to the Pent, which is his first tape, dropped on February 28th, 2025. Drake DMs him February 25th, 2025, 3 days before the tape drops. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Drake is paying attention. The dates line up here perfectly. And don't go and tell me like, oh, nah, he photoshopped the dates. You're just reaching at that point. Let's be honest here. I got another video coming out where I talk about how Drake is getting screwed by his label really badly. And I hate what they're doing. But we have to be fair. And he says, hopefully we can get one for the album. I talked to Gordo, as DJ, I was about to say DJ Mustard, formerly known as DJ Carnage. He told me the other ish was the intro. I was hype off that ish, but I know that feeling when you already done. So we'll cook up if anything. So he's talking about the intro to that track, to the album. And he's saying like that's already out there. So I think Drake wanted it for himself, or he wanted to do something with it. And he's like, damn, Gordo was telling me that you already got that one on the intro on your album. He says, so we'll cook up if anything. And then Rugrat says, what? I appreciate you understanding, bro. I just know I can't ever say those lyrics again. And this is my first ever tape, so it was special for me, you know? More than appreciative. And Rugrat feels like that on the song Little Birdie, Drake just kind of like took the beat and pitched it. This is what will happen. So he's like, okay, you don't want to give me that? Say less. Yo, hop in the producers. You guys make something similar to this. So that's just usually what ends up happening, unfortunately. And even in Lil Birdie, like my opinion, when I listen to Lil Birdie and I listen to Intro by 1900 Rugrat, they are distinctive. I don't really hear too much of a similarity. Now, I only did this once. Maybe I got to listen to it a couple of more times, but I'm just being fair here. I don't notice a similarity, a glaring similarity, but that does not mean that I think 1900 Rugrat is lying. That doesn't mean I think 1900 Rugrat is tripping. I don't think he's tweaking off of that. He's in his right to believe something like that. And on top of that, what makes me lean more towards 1900 Rugrats side of things is that Little Birdie sounds like a Kodak Black reference track. And not just a Kodak Black, but like a lot of people from that area, Pompano Beach, I believe, which is where 1900 Rugrat, he definitely comes from a similar area to Kodak Black. That's what they sound like. So it would be unsurprising for 1900 Rugrat to be wrong about this. So I think he is right. The problem is when you're in a situation like this, you can do one of a couple of things, because this is a power move. And this is not big bank, take little bank, but it's like big fish. It's just, there are certain countries, right, where you can own your land, quote unquote, but if it's a monarchy or something like that, if the king wants the land, he's going to get the land. And he may come to you and say, hey, look, you know, we want this land. I want to build a castle here. And this is actually has happened. I want to build a castle here. How much would you like for the land? And then the individual might say, oh, no, you know, I don't want to sell it. Like, I've lived here. My family's had this land. He's like, no, how much do you want for it? He's like, oh, well, I don't want to sell it. The thing is, you're being offered it as a courtesy. So they're willing to pay you. The thing is, the monarch in this regard is saying, I'm going to get that, but I'm going to offer you either a courtesy and we can work together and I can give you a handsome compensation for what you have there, or I can flex my muscle and say, well, that's actually mine because I run this country, so everything is mine, regardless of whatever little paper you have says. And what are you going to do? Sue me about it? You see? I think that's the situation with Drake here, where Drake is saying, yo, you know, we can collab on this. Like, could we get something working? And then he's like, listen, man, you know, I just can't do it. He's like, oh, you can't do it? Well, I have the vision for my Iceman album and the song Little Birdie, and that's a part of the vision. So you can either be a part of this vision, which you chose not to, or, and now I will just take it into my own hands. And if you're 1900 Rugrat, in that case, you have two options. You either take Drake up on his offer and you do your best and you take the L, I guess, take it on the chin, or you shut up and never speak of it again. And maybe try to reach out to him and be like, yo, Little Birdie sounds sick. Like, you just keep the relationship. Because what 1900 Rugrat does here, it's understandable from an artist's perspective. Like, he's, I wouldn't say heartbroken. That's a little bit taking it too far, but he's hurt by this. He's like, damn, man, like, this is my, like, he even says it. I sat down there. That's like the first beat that I really made. Like, that's my baby. It's from my first album, my intro. And he just like took that. And unfortunately, you had to keep that on the chin, because coming out publicly with it, now you're dead to Drake. Drake can't ever work with you now. And you're showing DMs exchange between you guys too. So that's just a bad look. unfortunately. And I get why he did it, but he had two options in that scenario. And the option was to take the L. But I don't blame 1900 Rugrat for keeping it for his album, because the thing is, he doesn't need Drake. And I like that he's not foaming at the mouth to work with somebody of that caliber. And granted, we have seen people like Kodak Black be able to mend their relationship with Drake, or Drake still be cool with Kodak, even though Kodak Black has said stuff like, yo, until he ready to work on an album, I'm not really interested in all that love. Like, he giving 21 Savage features. Kodak Black and 21 Savage have had quite a history of their own. So that's where that is. Unfortunately, at the current moment for 1900 Rugrat, he's not at the level of a Kodak Black, which Kodak Black is goated. I don't want to hear any disrespect regarding him. So yeah, I do think 1900 Rugrat is telling the truth. I personally don't really hear it too much in the beats. But hey, look, I'm not a producer. Maybe my ears are trash. Y'all let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.